today we are going to do a Q&A. I found another spot. I want to do a recording as well, so I don't know if I'm going to have to shift spots. I've locked the little dog out. He's probably sat at the door because just try and get through this. This Q&A, I've already looked at the questions we've got, so I'm probably just going to go through them. Hopefully YouTube, you'll pick up on the keywords, so there's timestamps. But more or less, you might want to listen to this and you do stuff and just learn stuff along the way. Anything you don't resonate with or you have an opinion on, you can also leave a comment, you know. Now, if you attend this on the live and I am not on the live premiere and you leave a comment, I will check it. I might not be able to reply with an @ to your username, but you'll see that I've replied in the comments section, because on the live I can't do a reply after the live unless there's a comment. And that's why I also say just leave an emoji, because it helps the algorithm. So today we've got a mixed bag of questions from what about extinct animals, Karen Reed's case, Lily and Jack Sullivan. I really want to call a BITCH out, but I'm just gonna leave it because you're not worth my energy. So let's get through this. Hope you're all well. I am going to do a Diddy read, and also there's a UK read coming up. Very important read on the UK. I hope you join in, because it's important that we find the power and we follow through with some little advice. So let me just pull up the Q&A part of what I wanted. Okay. Will extraterrestrials help the climate change, and what man are trying to do in terms of change the climate or implicate it additionally? The answer I get in this is yes. The extraterrestrial beings, as we call them, are already working around the world to help protect the climate, protect from extreme, I'm getting the word dissolving as I say this, but I wanted to say, I didn't even, disturbance is coming up, but what I want to actually say is like earth-shattering climate, where we've been playing with it. But they've also been helping to mitigate the adverse effects of the disturbance that might be happening. So yes, they are helping with the climate change, and otherwise the weather conditions that we've been seeing, it would have been tenfold. The Karen Reed case. The Karen Reed case, I did a read on this. The Karen Reed case, I don't really like her energy, but I think this case is too large of an implication for her to be guilty. I do believe she hit him with the car, but I don't believe that was his demise. I believe she hit him with the car and she thought, oh, okay, it was like a bump, like she was pissed off with him. She has a conniving side. They have a toxic relationship to them. It's like she gets wound up, but he doesn't necessarily, his reaction doesn't calm her down. I think she was pissed off about him going there. But I always remember in my reading that I got this younger energy that is younger than the older ones, that is a bit of a shit starer, and I do think the other party are guilty as well. I'm not watching this trial because I'm bored of this case. I think it's a shit show. I think it's a mess, and I think it's too far gone. I personally don't know where they are in this trial run, but I don't think they are going to be able to prove that his injuries that he has are from a car. I think that is going to be the biggest thing, because that's not what, yes, pneumonia and stuff, but he has injuries that align more with being beaten up. Did she hit him? Yes, she did, but not to the point that would cause him to lay there to his demise. and both of them have guilty knowledge on this, and that's why I've always said both have guilt, but the guilt of Karen Reid as to have done it, I'll just put this out there. The experts that will testify, are they going to be able to say that he was hit by this car, all the injuries that he sustained were because he was hit by this car and then left to die in the snow because of pneumonia? And I get that's a no. So that's me on the Karen Reid case. Where are the jury? I think the jury are 50-50. Like, they seem to be really trying to analyze it, really trying to look at it from different perspectives. Like, if somebody's testifying this, can this be true? There's one jury, I wrote this down, there's one juror that seems to be stuck on something in particularly, and he keeps, I'm saying he, so it must be he, keeps going back to remind people of this. And one element also that's stuck on them is the timeline of this. That's just not adding with certain factors. The other thing that they're finding it very weird is, if no one's guilty out of all of these parties, is why were they up and they found him at like 4 a.m. instead of like 7 or 7:30 a.m. You know, they're finding that a bit of a storytelling, or that's me getting that psychically, that they're telling that story when in fact they knew something happened to him, and it's not that he just didn't return home. They knew something happened to him, and that's why they went out to look for him at 4 a.m. Okay. If I get to that, I will add more, but that's what I was getting. Will there be a breakthrough in mind health healing? Yes. And I say healing, here it says health breakthroughs. Healing for the mind, yes. And I do believe we're going to get substantial breakthroughs in terms of brain disease elements that we've not really had breakthroughs, we've not invested, or there's not been much research breakthroughs on them or dedication to that research, and I think that's going to change. Is there going to be a cure for diabetes? I believe there's going to be a better management for diabetes 1 and 2, and possibly in years to come, the reversal of diabetes type 1 and 2. Lily and Jack Sullivan, the 2 kids, I did a reading on this. One question is, what's your thought on it now? And why did I say about the different energies between them both? Do I think one of them is alive? There's different energies between them both because Lily is distant and Lily is upset. She understands what happened. She is really blames who was involved, that she can see what was done. Now, whether this was neglect or carelessness, again, I'm being very covert with the messages I put out there because I believe the police are onto it. They knew from day one that something wasn't right. I said in my reading that there's more surveillance to come out of the children, not just that the bus driver has seen them. And I do think that you're going to hear from, it might get nasty with like the bio dad getting involved. What I want to say on that front, they're not necessarily a family that can advocate that they're the best family and perfect. So they, themselves are not necessarily like an example to lead and pick on what's happened here. But there's more surveillance of Jack and Lily, and I think they will still request more surveillance prior to the day of whatever surveillance they see. So they might request surveillance of a week or a few days leading up, because I said that there's something about a few days prior. And I think they there is surveillance. Now, don't read into this surveillance automatically that the kids have been seen at McDonald's, for example. Um, but there is surveillance. And remember, I was saying about power lines. Again, it's similar to Emily Pike. I was saying about, I know it's weird to say about surveillance, but was the surveillance because of the area they live in. I'm thinking to do a reading on Dylan Eller, because that seems to have come to the forefront, which is a case I've never heard of, and I'd really like to help in that situation because my heart breaks for the dad, and I don't believe the mother's guilty, but I haven't really seen or read on it or tapped into it. But and you know, I'm very much that a soul needs to be physically put to rest for it to rest, which is what upsets me about Maddie McCann. And she's another one that's very distant, but she's not very speakable. She doesn't come forward with pointing blame at the guardians. But here, Lily is she's upset, it's sad, disappointed, alone, distant. I'm not saying that she is living, okay? It's just how I see the energies, and there's different layers of when you go. Jack doesn't understand or comprehend really what has happened. So that's the two different energies. I also believe the final matter, what they say is cause of, let's say, demise, if they're not living, is going to be different. They might say the final thing was the cause of demise was, for example, this, okay? But leading up to that was very different. Even if the final thing says that it's the final, like someone can be, let's take an example here so that I don't have to be so held back. Let's say someone's dying, right? You give them something to drink to make them further weaker, or someone wants to, please don't link it to this case because I don't believe this was intentionally to get rid of these kids. I don't believe it's like a Laurie or something, Laurie Vallow. But then the person's not passed away, but it looks like they're weak and they're going. The final might be a strangulation. So whether it's the final that's determined or not, it's different for the kids. It could be the step before the final, or it could be, you might see it in the injuries, but I'm telling you, regardless of what is said in court, it's different for the kids. All the steps leading up to that, the end, whatever that is different for both children. And I'm not saying that they were separated either. I hope I'm making this clear. It was neglect and family is involved. I stand by my reading, although I don't really remember everything that I said. I really see Jack is kind of like not comprehending what happened. He's a bit, there's still some kind of child joy there. Lily seems to be more of a mature soul that sees and comprehends and is upset of what's happened. So I don't know where we are on that case and but the police are holding on to stuff. And so you're going to see that they will say, actually, we now have, or they had evidence of this date, that date. Trump recent visit to the Middle East, got gifted a plane, and why were tech leaders there? So if you remember in my predictions in May, I said Trump was going to get a gift, and I also said he could get a gift from King Charles. I don't know if either are flying to each other's country, but he certainly did get a nice gift, didn't he? A plane. So with that, in the Middle East, there was a massive AI conference. And you can imagine AI is going to be like the leading thing. So everyone that has money or leaders are going to want to invest in that. This is also part of, remember I was saying there's going to be new alliances formed. And if you've not just seen the June predictions, which cross over June and other months and backdate as well. So don't get stuck on the month in particularly. Do review them, because time is also linear, even with some of the things I say here. So that's where investments are. That's where new alliances are, as opposed to where he's upset tensions and the European. He's looking out towards new alliances for where there's tension here and where something could crack a bit. So that's what he did. And obviously, the first country he visited give him something. The second, the way the Arabs work is the second will try to big that up. Okay, so I think he must have been absolutely in his element. The AI people that went, I believe, sorry, the tech leaders that went, I don't believe they were going because of this, some kind of covertness with Trump. No, they were going because of this AI conference. So what could they learn from the competitors that might try to strike a deal with leaders, tech CEOs, with sheikhs in the Middle East, with those Middle Eastern countries, with global countries attending, with another AI tech that says, I'll present you with this deal. And then the other one goes, well, I can present you with this. We are now working on this project behind the scenes, and another one can hear it and stuff like that. So I think they were going to be in the know and know about it. And also strike deals. And it's less about the Trump and AI CEOs and people going together to do some kind of deal of themselves, let's say. The market, I believe in terms of the market, the public will see some form of a crash, right? But there's going to be some places that are worse than others in terms of market crashes. Some banks, some industries might indicate a crash, but it's not as bad as what we've experienced in the past. It's because the financial and the banking system of our time is changing, and I said this in the June predictions. And it's also that some countries could be carrying out or pulling out. I feel like some countries could introduce like additional steps or processes for silly things. If you want to carry cash, for example, and silly amounts of cash, right? If you want to carry a silly amount of cash, you need to have an explanation why you have this cash, or you want to pull out this cash out of your bank account. Now, it's my bank account. I earned my money. I can pull out as reasonable amount of cash. I'm talking about a silly amount of cash that they might say, well, you need to go through an extra step of identification or a form to fill, and then approval, or through an app or something. I'm seeing that kind of thing in some countries. Here's my Karen Reid question. So there's trying to analyze it. Karen Reid, prosecution is over soon. They're really trying. So yeah, jury, this is my response that I made a note of. Very analytical, looking for proof, the timeline connection, and some are struggling to see sense of how this all happened, how he died and no one knows, how he died and no one saw him. And it's not like it's 7:30 a.m. people going to work. One juror really feels stuck on that thing and keeps repeating it to others, because he really feels like there's something there that gives like a light bulb moment. And some believe that it wasn't an accident, and they believe both sides are lying in some element of this. It's a bit of a 50-50 energy at the moment with jurors. Some completely believe the state, and I don't know if the judge might end up having to make a call on this, a final decision on this, because if the defense don't come through to pull, it could end up with a 50-50 jury again. But I feel like this trial, the jury I feel like some jurors are very, by the end of it, are going to feel like certain about a decision. I just feel like this trial, I don't know why I feel this trial seems to be a lot clearer in terms of being able to make a bit more of a decision, but still it feels very messy. Okay. I work in the medical field, and it seems like research budget has been pulled back by 47. So 47, I believe, is Duck. Is it going to affect the medical research? Yes, I believe it will affect the medical research, but I think by 2026, it's going to be changing, and I feel like there's going to be positivity. Could this be reinvestment via donations or financial budgeting being put back into research and medical, or some kind of funding or something like that? Yes. So I think this is a bit temporary at this moment in time. I also want to ask you, you've asked this question, I'm not familiar. Isn't it Robert F. Kennedy that is he the medical governor or something like that? So where's his thoughts on this? Can someone tell me? That'd be interesting to know. Will there ever be a fairer wealth world distribution? Yes, but I think it needs time. I think, we are in we're in like a 28-year cycle reset. And I think over the next 10 years, we're going to see something very different in terms of the wealth uh, distribution around the world. But it will take a very long time. It's not going to happen this year or next year. King Charles and Prince William, will the monarchy last as it is? A lot of people saw that King Charles would have a short reign. I don't think that was very difficult to state, because even if he wasn't well, if he was well at the time of taking this and within a year, not saying about cancer, he's aging anyway, and as we age, he's in his 70s, and as we age, even if it's 2-3 years down the line, it's likely that he's going to have something. Or even if he did a reign until the end of cognizance, it's not going to be as long as his mother, so it's always going to be seen from people as a short reign. I think the monarchy will get revamped. It will need to be revamped. People are waking up. It's very difficult because in the UK we are quite patriotic, and it's quite nice to have that culture of the monarchy, but I'm struggling myself because I think they do give a protection and a weight to the UK. We are small, but the amount of taxes the government take, the amount that then goes to the royals, is a bit much for how much hard work we have to put in, and we don't even get the healthcare system that we pay for. It's okay saying about private, but we pay for it through our taxes. So I think it will be slimmed down, and I think over some years it's going to look very less important, even in the eyes of history. It's going to slim down, and this could mean, I think what we'll do in a couple of years is read, could this mean William will do a shorter reign, as opposed to a very long reign all his life until the end of his life? Because I think that could be a possibility, but there is going to be less importance of the monarchy as we go on, when you look back at history in this moment in time, whereas in the past, history and the monarch and the royals was so nice to know about. I think their importance is getting less. Do souls go back and forth between heaven and earth? Yes, they do at any time. Also, I want to say light, they shift faster than light. So faster than the speed of light. And we have to remember time is linear. So yes, if 47 goes out, will he be on social media, or will he totally be gone? No hearing of him. That's interesting. I get asked that question because in June predictions, I did that. I felt like there was people trying to push him out. So I don't know what's happening in the US. Please let me know. I don't predict that he's going to be out anytime soon, but let's say whenever his presidency ends or whenever it is, I'm not getting into that prediction. I can do that separately. He will be active on social media. I do think he will continue to be active on social media, even if this means he does a reclusive time abroad. He will continue to be active on social media. Yeah. Will media like Fox broadcasting ever stop manipulating the audience? I think that's what means. So mainstream media, I've been saying, has been lying, manipulating. We've seen it. Can you remember when Harris was in an interview and they manipulated that whole thing? We've done some readings on that. My God, it feels like a century ago, doesn't it? Does anyone feel like this was ages ago? It was just last year. We were having a bit of a field on the media. But it's interesting you say about Fox. So why are you stating about Fox? It's fine to ask that question, but I like to just know. If I tap into this, I feel like some of you or whoever asked this question and others that would be interested in this is about the commentators at Fox. So have they been long lived at Fox, the commentators? But yes, Fox and mainstream media, I think we are going to see a change. And mid 2026, definitely there's trickles of change, but you really need to pay attention. But I think mid 2026 we're going to be able to see those trickles and a bigger sign. It's all started basically because we're not buying it. We're not buying it, so they need to change. At the moment they're looking at their own agenda, their own profitability, what is best for them. But how are they going to stay relevant if we are no longer buying into it? At the moment people are buying into it. So but it was interesting that it specifically says Fox. So let me know in the comments. Yeah, I do get something about commentators there. I don't know why. I feel like someone is feeling more of commentators. Oh, my left ear is burning. Anyone tell me? I know the right means something, the left means something. I forgot what else. Extinct animals do they still exist on the other side? Yes, they do. Just like everything else. And also this is why every now and then we might see, oh, there's been a spotting of this and it belongs to this extinct family, or there's been a weird spotting of this species, we're not sure what it is, but we'll call it, like example, the Loch Ness monster in Scotland. And that's why sometimes we see these sightings of a species every now and then. But yes, they are on the other side. I am getting a pet come through now for someone. It's a black Labrador, and I wonder if this is for... I think it's for... I forgot your name. Crap. Trevor. I hope you're okay, Trevor. I think it's Ben coming through. I don't even know if you're going to see this. I'll try and put a timestamp, and it's a good omen that he's come through. That candle just got brighter. That's next to me. That's why I was looking. Okay. The Pope will be this be the last Pope of all time. I read on this in the June predictions. I wasn't getting that, but I did answer that in the June predictions. If you can hop over, because there might be some sort of change, some sort of choice, but the choice is not actually. We look like we've got a decision, but we don't really have a decision. Will there ever be a replace? The Pope might. I don't know if he's going to do his whole tenature. So that's something else that. Will there ever be a replacement or other sources of fuel than oil and gas? Yes. I do believe there's going to be other sources of fuel other than oil and gas. I'm actually surprised that we've not tapped into it, because I think we can get other sources of fuel from very rare metals. Some of those metals we are still to discover, and then discover that they can give us the source of fuel. I think, you know, there might be something about this that comes up in the next 10 to 20 years, but by 50 years we will see it in play. We might not see it. We might see it looking down. But yeah, if you're in your 20s, hello. Q&A on Elon. Elon steps down, doesn't want to get why did Elon step down? Why did he step down, or was he kicked out? I'm going to do a separate reading on this. So if you are interested in this Elon read as a separate reading, please do let me know in the comments, because then I know where to dedicate my time for readings. Macroon getting shoved in the face. I was going to do a separate reading on this. You know, clearly there was an issue there of boundaries, domestic vibe. I get him as like a slippery snake kind of energy. And I think, you know, he said to her, why are you saying this? You keep saying this. And she's shoved him. She's extremely pissed because he tries to allow her to hook on his hand. Well, at least that's what I see. And he gets even more angry because he's trying to put up this image in front of everyone, and he's embarrassed again when she doesn't take that hook. So maybe they've tried to say, oh, we were just prattling around or joking or whatever they tried to say, but I don't get that. I also get that he is he was shoved quite hard. He wasn't slapped. I'm seeing people saying slapped. He wasn't slapped. I see he's shoving. And I think he was quite taken back by the shove. I get a weird dynamic between those two. Again, if you want me to do a separate reading on that, I will do. Let's just pull cards, because I feel like he loves her, but it's kind of like sometimes at night it's as if people that have said something about him being with her that gets to his mind. And I think he's kind of like, he wants to be with her, but he started to feel a lacking that he didn't feel prior with her. So let's just see something, the relationship together. So their relationship right now. Okay, so we do get that someone definitely wears there is one party that wears the trousers, and I know you're going to go, it's Brigitte, but 1 second. There is communication that's happening, but it seems like one of them is giving the silent treatment. I don't know if that showed in the camera. There's communication between them. One is giving silent treatment, and I do feel like this was while they were traveling. I asked for now, but while they were traveling. I think he was actually giving the silent treatment by the looks of this, and it pissed her off even more. Let's see their overall energy in their relationship. Four of Wands, it's not a happy home. It's not a heartfelt home. It's not feeling very stable. Queen of Cups, she seems to still have love there. The Hierophant, it's not a happy marriage. The marriage is not in a good place. Bottom of the deck is the Wheel of Fortune. So I do want to clarify that Wheel of Fortune, please. I'm getting with that, Spirit saying it needs not a revamp, it needs something to come in and spark a new energy for it to go into a better direction. Someone is not holding on to the marriage, invested in the marriage as they were in the past. Page of Swords in reverse. It seems like someone's quite immature verbally, dishing out maybe swear words, maybe verbal abuse. And one of them is feeling that kind of verbal abuse gets to them and they tend to feel very disconnected. It seems like it gets to their inner child as well. And they try to just ignore it, which might be the silent treatment we got. So I don't think they're necessarily in a good place. It wasn't just because of what happened on the plane, it was prior. So, but that's the energy I get from him, and it seems like the cards have stated that she's quite a bit older than him, isn't she? It's just a weird dynamic I get between them. I don't know what's going on there. I wonder if she's starting to feel his disconnect and starting frightened to lose him. Okay, let's get back to our questions. Phoebe Bishop, a 17-year-old who's gone missing in Australia, last seen on 15th of May. I wish I had a picture. I do get something about traveling in a car or car being used. I do get this girl was very burdened by quite a bit in her life. Like, I don't think she was feeling very happy. 15th of May. Her past was coming up. Something about the past. I wonder if she was seeing someone from her past that day. Or 17, was she going to not school but a reunion or something? Let's just pull cards quickly. Where's her parents? Because I really feel like she feels alone, heavied from life, and as if her disappearance or her not being around, no one's necessarily going to care. Or she feels quite alone and not, I don't know where. Okay. I got the car. That's the car I was seeing. So I do think there was something about a car. She was trying to hold on to life. She was looking forward to going somewhere. I don't know. There's something very significant about car transport. And she was looking for kind of a new chapter. It didn't go as planned. All right. Something missing from this actually. feel like there's two people that are standing their ground on this. And so they're not victims. They probably know what happened. Someone's also witnessed something. I do get a very strong Leo energy. And here I feel is where she, it was like she wanted to go on this endeavor with this Fool and this Page of Wands. There was lost communication. I don't know why I'm getting that in that sense. There was lost communication. Here I get between her and her mother. I wonder if there's a couple in this. King of Wands. There's a male that wasn't acting right. I do get very strong Sagittarius and Leo energy. Some travel. Okay. But yeah, I can do a separate reading. I'm just doing this very quickly, seeing as we need to get everyone's questions in. So I am actually going to look at her picture and see exactly what happened, or a bit more than 17 years old. Like, where was she last seen? It's kind of sad. I feel like she was really burdened from life. And I don't think she should have, like, at 17 you can do them. Life is burdening, but I think, like, it would have been nice for her to feel like, well, her mum's shown up in this, so I don't know if it's her dad, but not that her dad's involved, but I feel like she needed some love. Okay. Is that our last of a Q&A? I'm going to do a UK read. I'm going to do Did You Read? Elon, if you want me to do it, I'll do it. I'm also thinking to do a reading on Epstein, because I think, is it Kash Patel that recently was talking about this? So if you're interested in that, also let me know. And what else have I got on my list? UK, I am doing that. I'm also doing in the UK the Liverpool incident, and also Farage and Keir Starmer. If it's in the same one, I'll let you know. I might do a royal read as well, because I've got something to say on that. For example, I really predict William's going to be taking the chance this 18 months where he can to work from home, kind of be near his family. But I see home being significant, so maybe he looks at the home. I do think Catherine will be involved in also climate. In the UK, I want to discuss this whole Sun saga palaver. So yeah, that's what I have in the Q&As. Obviously, you can leave your questions and your votes. It always helps direct my energy into where to look, where to read. And have we got anything further on the Emily Pipe case, by the way? But yeah, look out for nailing on the heads. You know, in the read for Lily and Jack Sullivan, I said they will be found. And I said, it's not like it's going to be Sebastian Rogers' case, which takes too long. But Dylan, Ella, should we do a reading? You have to let me know. So thank you for your support, and I hope everyone is blessed. I just, if anyone is feeling pain in their heart right now, please know things will get better. If you're feeling the heaviness of life, have faith, and sing tomorrow is only a day away. I love you tomorrow. I can't sing, but that message needed to go to someone. And take care, stay blessed. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, give it a subscribe, share, promote the channel where you can. It's only if you wish to. It's not a demand or a request. It does help. I'm extremely thankful to members. I'm extremely thankful to the loyalty of subscribers that I have. So thank you for that. Take care. Bye for now.